Fortnite has hundreds of items that are on a constant rotation in every single season, but how about those items that are one-season wonders, were only in one season and have never come back since? Today, we are going to revisit some of those weapons that only got to be in the game for like 3 or 4 months at a time and have never been seen again. But they were still at the top of their class in their respective season. For continuity's sake on this video, I will not be including mythic items here because like 90% of this list would just be mythic items, most of them never come back. But if you would like to see a video like this, but with just mythic items that have only been in the game one time, let me know in the comment section and I can do that. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave it a like and use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop. Make sure you get it in there before this Friday comes around with the new battle pass coming out. With all that said, let's get right into it. This is a good one. All right, first up, I had to get probably the most obvious one out of the way, in my opinion. That is the Shockwave Hammer. The Shockwave Hammer was introduced in Chapter 4 Season 1 and was vaulted for the beginning of Chapter 4 Season 2. As in, it was vaulted when Chapter 4 Season 2 came out. It has never been seen again. And let's be honest, that's probably for the best. While, look, I love the Shockwave Hammer. It is some of the best mobility, some of the most fun I have ever had using a Fortnite weapon in my entire history of playing this game. I honestly loved the meta of the TAC AR with the red dot, the thunder shotgun, maybe a twin mag SMG, and a Shockwave Hammer in there. This thing was just incredible. I love that meta so much. And now that I think about it, I think Chapter 4 Season 1 was actually criminally underrated. I think we took it for granted. Let me know if you agree with me in the comment section. But there's no denying that this thing is really on the border of overpowered. I would consider it to be overpowered. It basically ran the game for the couple months it was in. It had to get nerfed multiple times, but the fact that you could carry multiple of them and they would have their own individual uses instead of carrying like one big use is crazy. I mean, you genuinely had people carrying 5 Shockwave Hammers at a time and winning games. While I think it was really fun to use, it was great for the game, I felt like it caused a ton of problems as well, a ton of bugs, a ton of glitches, a ton of third party. Don't even get me started on that. But look, at the end of the day, video games are supposed to be fun. I thought this thing was fun. Did it make me rage a bunch? Of course it did, but you know what? That's just how this game works sometimes. Next, let's talk about Chapter 3 Season 4's explosive Goo Gun. Honestly, a really forgotten about weapon, and if you haven't seen my video where I rank every single launcher, this video was in there. So if you want to hear me talk about it more, go watch that video, of course. I mean, to me, a weapon like this, and honestly, you'll see it with most weapons on this list, they're very quirky, they're very weird, they're very off, they're not like your typical normal weapons. But I mean, that's kind of what makes them unique, right? And this weapon is no exception to that. This thing was just insane. It would just shoot out like explosive goo. I mean, what are we doing here? Again, this is a weapon I would expect to come out of like Chapter 2 Season 7, not any other season. It's honestly hard to believe something like this exists, but at the same time, it was basically the charm of like those older seasons of Fortnite. I can't even believe I'm calling Chapter 3 older, but that's just the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't really get like goofy weapons like this anymore. But don't get me wrong, I would never want this weapon to return. It was incredibly strong. It was so spammy. If you had 2 of these, or if you were playing duos or squads and you had any more than like 2 or 3 of these, you were basically instant dead. While yes, it was fun to use, I would never want to see this weapon come back. It was an absolute nightmare. Next, let's talk about an absolute classic, that being the Stark's Industry Rifle from Chapter 2 Season 4. And I guess you gotta put like a little asterisk right on this one because it actually has a good chance of coming back in Chapter 5 Season 4. It had already been leaked like weeks ago, basically, that Chapter 5 Season 4 was going to be Marvel themed again, and the mini live event today basically confirmed that. We saw Dr. Doom basically hacked Megalodon's ship essentially, and so yeah, we know it's going to be Marvel themed, and so there's a high chance that the Stark Industries rifle could come back. And it wouldn't surprise me necessarily if they went that route and they tried to do it, because it is a fan favorite weapon, and that shouldn't be a surprise. It's not only really fun to use, it's really good too. Like, it is a really solid weapon all around. People would hip fire it, use it in their box, they'd use it long range. I remember Mongrel just annihilating people with this weapon. I am a huge Stark Industries rifle fan. I would actually love for them to bring it back in Chapter 5 Season 4. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say on the Stark Industries rifle. I love it all around. I think it's a great addition to the game. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised it's only been in the game for 1 season. I know it's Marvel themed, but I'm surprised they just haven't slipped it in there somehow. I guess because they basically have the pulse rifle, which does the exact same thing. And I wanted to throw a super recent item in here from Chapter 5 Season 1. That's the Ballistic Shield. And I did this on purpose, right? Because I think there are some weapons in Chapter 5 Season 1 that were only in that season but could come back, right? Again, it's only been 2 seasons, something like the Striker AR, for example. I think that weapon could absolutely come back, but I honestly don't think the Ballistic Shield is ever going to come back. Like, this was a super polarizing weapon. Again, I do not play no build mode. You guys know that. And that's basically where this thing ran its course. In build mode, in my opinion, totally useless. I would never pick up this thing in build mode. But in no builds, this thing, to my knowledge, was absolutely dominant. It was a must carry for those end games. And of course, it makes sense. You just have like a deployable cover wherever you go. I just think this thing is too much of a head case to bring back with the community. Not to mention that it was actually a really strong weapon. The pistol that was on the side was unbelievably strong. It was also just really annoying to go up against, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, I don't think the Ballistic Shield will ever come back. I know it's only been 2 seasons, so it may be a little bit premature to say that, but I genuinely don't see them bring it back. I honestly actually forgot it even existed, to be honest with you. Next, let's talk about another launcher, or I guess a pistol, depending how you look at it. That is Chapter 2 Season 7's Plasma Cannon. Now, this is a weapon that I would expect to come out of Chapter 2 Season 7. Absolutely insane, off the walls, would not fit in any other season. And I actually think that's the exact reason why it hasn't come back yet. Chapter 2 Season 7 had this crazy alien theme, and there are only a select amount of weapons that will ever fit that theme. And the Plasma Cannon is absolutely one of them, but could you imagine the Plasma Cannon being in Chapter 5 Season 2 of Fortnite, for example? Absolutely not. In Chapter 5 Season 3, maybe. I mean, the season's an absolute nightmare, I'll be honest with you. I talk about this weapon in detail in my every launcher video, so second shameless plug here. So go check that out, but yeah, it just shot a ball of plasma that went through every build, damaged everything, broke everything, went through vehicles. It was absolutely destructive. But I would be entirely lying if I sat here saying that I didn't have a smile on my face right now thinking about the absolute troll plays that you could make with the Plasma Cannon. It was so fun to use. Just an absolutely crazy weapon from Chapter 2 Season 7. There are a lot more of those. If I make a part 2 of this video, you know some of those will be in there. But yeah, no surprises, this one's on this list. Let's talk about Chapter 4 Season 4's Rocket Ram. This is a great mobility item, and I think this is one that I could see in the future coming back. It's not really tied to any theming. I mean, I guess a little bit with the whole like kind of jailbreak theme of Chapter 4 Season 4. And of course, Chapter 4 Season 4 wasn't that long ago, so it could come back, but as of now, it has not, so it's on this list. And what a mobility item, right? I mean, this was the main mobility in Chapter 4 Season 4. And I know you guys have heard this so many times in this video already. It's hard to not repeat myself, but it was just such a fun and unique idea for an item. I mean, look, I think that we will be seeing this with Chapter 5 Season 3's Nitro, Flash, and those abilities. Those are 100% never going to come back, so if I ever make this video in a couple months, who knows? Nitro could be on here. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about the Rocket Ram, right? I mean, you could fly in the air, you could jump into people's boxes, you could go flying through people's builds, you could break through those like vault areas which had those cracked walls. The only thing that I can complain about here is just that charge up time. It did take a good amount of time to charge it up before you could actually launch, but once you could, you just started free falling in the air. It was really cool. I think a weapon like this certainly deserves to be on here. And the final weapon on today's list is Chapter 4 Season 3's Explosive Repeater Rifle. I mean, what a truly weird weapon, right? This is essentially just an explosive version of the regular repeater rifle, which, by the way, is one of Fortnite's worst weapons they've ever added. So it was interesting that they decided to kind of remaster a weapon like that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think a lot of people were entirely asking for an explosive repeater rifle, let's be honest. But they absolutely packed a punch with this thing because it was incredibly strong, if I remember correctly, from Chapter 4 Season 3. But again, this is a weapon that is not really tied to a specific theme. I guess if you want to consider the primal wild aesthetic of it, I guess technically you could consider it themed to Chapter 4 Season 3. I personally would not, and for that reason, I think there is a possibility that it comes back, but since it hasn't, it's on this list. I remember some people were like dual wielding these things. Well, not really dual wielding, but dual swapping, kind of like double pump, but with explosive repeater rifles, and that's because you didn't actually have to hit your shot. It would do the splash damage if you just hit it near somebody. It actually had like incredible range, and now that I think about it, this thing with attachments, like if you're able to put a scope on this thing, it would be so sick. You could kit this thing out. Although, if I'm thinking about it, that is a little bit far-fetched because this thing was very strong, and I remember there being a ton of complaints during its season about it. I mean, think about it. In that season, you had the explosive repeater rifle, the Cybertron cannon, the sticky grenade launcher. I mean, it was a lot of spam. What a crazy meta now that I think about it. Chapter 4 Season 3 is a big doom. Heads up to you if you get that reference. All right, guys, well, that was just a quick video about revisiting some of Fortnite's best one-season wonders. If you would like to see me make a part 2 to this video, let me know in the comment section, or if you would like me to make an entirely separate video, same exact idea, but mythics only, I can absolutely do that. I try my best to get to all the comments, so it really does mean a lot when you guys go down there and let me know your opinions. If you you went on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave it a like, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.